I think it's pretty safe to say that one of the most mysterious characters in the Star Wars sequel trilogy has got to be Supreme Leader Snoke. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, if we examine the Star Wars sequel trilogy, we do know that a lot of the characters such as Rey, Kylo, Snoke, and Luke have a very mysterious past to themselves that J.J. Abrams will be exploring in Episode 9 in a very unique way. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with the character of Snoke. Now, specifically, what's really intriguing is that it's described that Snoke's backstory will have a significant effect on the character of Kylo Ren and his development as a character in the plot. It's also described that parts of Snoke's backstory will have a connection to the new threat to Kylo in Episode 9. This new threat that holds a connection to Snoke is said to be a big plot point in the end of the second act of this movie. So I really want to go over a couple of parts about this as to why I really do believe that this new threat in Episode 9 could very well be of the same exact species of Supreme Leader Snoke for all we know. Now, one thing is for certain is that we do know that J.J. Abrams is going to be exploring the backstory of Snoke to a certain extent in this film that will serve a great purpose for the character of Kylo Ren, as well as this new threat in this movie. Now, like I say, we do know that this quote-unquote The Beyond is going to be a part of Episode 9, which could very well be the code name and or another word for the unknown regions that a lot of creatures and aliens and humanoids and humans use around the galaxy in order to express what the unknown regions is like. So the unknown regions we do know is going to play a role in this movie. We also know that Supreme Leader Snoke originated over in the unknown regions when it came to, of course, growing the First Order into a very large army in order to hide from, of course, the Republic. Now, the fact that Snoke is going to have this big connection to the new threat in Star Wars Episode 9 that Kylo is going to have to eventually face during the second act of this movie that will make him feel vulnerable as a character and to the audience, I think is rather, I would have to say ambiguous at this point in time, because we're not quite sure exactly what kind of connection Snoke is going to have to this new threat in the film. But what I do find very fascinating is how Snoke as a character and his backstory is going to be used in order to push Kylo Ren forward in this movie. Now, this could obviously be Kylo Ren discovering new knowledge of Snoke, like how we went over the past other concept art and storyboard descriptions involving Snoke's holograms, and of course the artifacts and the relics that he actually owns on board of the Supremacy ship. It's very likely that Kylo reclaimed all of those different relics and artifacts and is using it to gain knowledge of not just the ancient Sith, but also exactly what Snoke was once affiliated with many years ago. So this new threat, what is really going on here? Is this a real response, perhaps, to Snoke's death in Star Wars The Last Jedi, where it's perhaps a revenge act on Kylo Ren, for all we know? We do know that this movie is going to have a lot going for the character of Snoke and his backstory, and that's one great thing about JJ. We do know that he brought this character to life in The Force Awakens, and we also know that he wants to pretty much, delve into parts of his story in Episode 9 to make us understand the character a whole lot more. I think that was one of the biggest complaints of The Last Jedi, was that we didn't really get to know more about Snoke as a character before his death. And say what you will about the original trilogy, yes, I do understand that Emperor Palpatine was introduced in Empire and Return of the Jedi, and at the time we knew little to nothing about him. But keep in mind, a lot of people also grew up with the prequels as well, which actually went over Palpatine's backstory. So what they're going to do here is that they're actually going to tell us little tidbits of Snoke and his actual story of the past and exactly what he went through, and how that's actually going to benefit the character of Kylo Ren in Episode 9, and exactly where it's going to bring him by the end of this movie. So I think that's a very powerful tool that JJ is using in this film, is Snoke's actual past is going to be used as a way in order to develop the character of Kylo Ren into something new and into something very unique, a type of villain that we have never seen before on the big screen. So we also know that there is going to be a new villain in this movie that will serve as an adversary to Kylo Ren, which I think is another unique thing about this film. This movie really does have a lot going for it. We can tell that JJ is very ambitious. He's trying to really aim high with his goals here in this movie in order to satisfy a lot of fans around the world. And honestly, I respect that. But however, you know, it's all about how it's executed on the big screen. It's all about how it's going to be written and exactly how it's going to be done with the CGI and, of course, the shooting techniques and how the cinematography is done. There's a lot that really goes into editing that could either make or break a movie. That is the absolute truth. I don't know if you guys knew this, but A New Hope was an actual movie that needed the editing in order to save the film, in case you guys didn't know that. So Snoke is a character I am extremely excited to see exactly how this is going to be done, of how his backstory is going to tie into this new threat that Kylo Ren will be facing by the time the second act arrives in Episode 9. Anyways guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.